good afternoon. I appreciate your time today. My name is Mike Roush. I'm the Director of Recruiting with Fastenal, and I've been with the company for actually 25 years. This is my 25th anniversary, celebrated last month. So, as we talk forward about, as an info session here, a lot of the things I'll talk about are reasons why I'm still with Fastenal for 25 years, and we'll talk about our company culture and a lot of those things as an organization that I value as an employee. And obviously, for the info session here, I want to share some of those things with you so you can see a little bit of an insight into who we are, what we do, and certainly we'll open it up for questions at the end. But with that being said, a lot of people don't know who Fastenal is, so we'll start with that. Fastenal is an industrial supply company, and we sell those types of products to our end users. And we're not a dropship company like an Amazon where we have distribution only. We have a lot of feet on the street, and some of that activity is why we have a lot of employee needs. So the positions we hire for are customer service, sales reps, key account managers, management, specialists within the industry, supply chain and operations. So a wide range of roles within our organization. But ultimately, I'm not going to talk a lot of specifics today about those roles. I'm going to talk more about our company culture and the types of folks we're looking for, the attributes that we look for in an interview process, because at the end of the day, it's about the quality of the employee and your work ethic and a lot of those things that make up who you are to find out if you fit our organization. And fit is a key word, because if you want somebody that works hard and is passionate about what they do, and you also want somebody to have tenure like a 25-year employee, you want to make sure there's a cultural fit. If there's not a fit, then you're not going to get somebody that's engaged as an employee as they need to be, and the employee's not going to be excited to be coming to work every day either. So it's a two-way street. I tell people all the time, when you interview, it's not just the interviewer trying to find out are they a good fit for the company, but you as the potential employee need to make sure you come with good questions and you have good insight to find out, ask the things that you need to know to find out if Fastenal would be a fit for you. Because if you go through that process and you join the company for any other reason, it can be a short-term process, and then it doesn't do anybody any good when you go through that. So that's a little bit overview of the types of roles we look for. But that being said, talking about the specific fit. So who is Fastenal? I mentioned we are an industrial distributor. So you're probably thinking, what does that mean? We do have some supply chain focus here on the call, so you may have a little bit more insight than maybe someone else that's new to this. But what that means is that we need folks that can solve problems and have good customer service skills, have good communication skills, people that know how to ask the right questions and to solve problems. People hear the word sales and they kind of shudder or they shy away, but sales is nothing more than building relationships and identifying needs of the customer. And when you do that and you do it in a way that is productive and you bring value to the table, then that customer is going to buy from you. And I mentioned key account management. You really build that rapport with the customer, and then you can sell a lot of products and provide good value. And then it's a mutually beneficial relationship. So that's our ultimate goal. That also lends to why we have our structure the way we do. We have over 3,000 servicing locations. I mentioned before, we're not an Amazon where we're drop shipping. We do have our own distribution model. So we have Fastenal semis running the routes, over 150 across the country. And we have those multiple distribution centers where it's a hub and spoke model where they will drop products to our local branches. Those 3,000 servicing locations, over 2,000 of them are brick and mortar stores. They're sales offices. Those branch locations is where the majority of our employees report to work. And so whether it's the key account management, whether it's an outside sales rep, a customer service rep, whatever those positions are, they'll report to that branch location and do their business there, and they will go see the customers. The reason we have so many locations is its proximity to the customer is key in good customer service. And so our model, we've been around for over 50 years, so founded in 1967. So we celebrated our 50th anniversary a couple of years ago, and that's not changed. Our model of growth through customer service is the same as it was then as it is now, and we've actually doubled down on that and continued to add resources to support that model. So with that being said, we need good customer service reps to help go see those customers. So having that many locations means that we're in small rural areas that we can service our customers. So who's our customer? It could be anybody that uses our products. So it's manufacturing, it's construction, it's higher education. You know, the campuses, we service a lot of campuses with needs. So what are those products that we sell? Well, you could probably guess Fastenal, hence the name. Fasteners is the first product that we came to board with in 1967. And when I started 25 years ago, probably 95% of the product mix was fasteners. And then we migrated into being that one-stop shop. So we're servicing a customer that also wanted to have tools, also wanted to have janitorial products, wanted to have safety products, and you go down the list, right? So now we provide all those types of industrial consumables to our customer to either keep their machines running, to maybe go in the final product as a production component or product, as well as keeping their employees safe on the work floor. All of that being said, it also leads to a diverse mix of products, which we have experts that can help support that within the field, and not just a commodity company selling products that somebody could buy online. So what differentiates us from our competition? It's that close proximity, multiple locations, customer service. You have somebody that can take care of your needs, and you're not just talking to somebody on the phone or a automated bot online. You are really having a firsthand knowledge of somebody that can help support you. So inventory management is a prime example of some of the things we do from a customer service standpoint. So once again, not just dropping product off at a receiving dock station, but we will actually put the product up at a point of use within that facility. So the customer has what they need when they need it, and we can establish min maxes on those products, and we can also use technology to help further their supply chain. And I'll talk about that a little bit further about how we use technology and some of those commodities that we sell. A lot of times people tune you out if you start talking about maybe products that's not really snazzy or really exciting to them. But I want to stress that it's not so much. A lot of times people will say, I don't know what those products are. I don't have a lot of technical information on that, and that's not really important in this conversation, because we want to find somebody that can have good communication skills, can build that relationship. We can teach you the technical data. We have resources and support on all those types of products. And so it's more about understanding the value of the relationship, and then we will teach you the ins and outs of the products, and you'll have support behind that. The inventory management component, that is where you build a relationship, and that's where you provide a lot of value to our customer. And I'll park here on one of those commodities. So for example, when people hear the company are like, well, I don't really know much about those products. Well, today we've all heard of PPE now, right? We all know what PPE is because we're in a pandemic where there was a shortage, right? There's news every night. They're talking about the personal protection equipment. Well, it's not new to us. We've been selling safety supplies for a long time, and PPE is something that is one of the core commodities that we sell to our customers. And now that there's more light to the rest of the world on what PPE is, you probably can have a better feeling of what we do just from that mere example or reference. But I want to touch on how we've used innovation to help support safety products. So for example, we have vending machines that we put in those manufacturing facilities, and those vending machines are not dispensing, Coke and Pepsi products or chips and candy bars. They're dispensing any commodity that the customer wants, and primarily it's safety products. So you can think about the safety mask, the sanitizer, the gloves, safety glasses, all those types of commodities that are consumables that they need to buy over and over to keep their employees safe. We will use vending machines at point of use in the facility, where an employee will come and swipe their badge, get the product they need, and get back to work. And we can put those in remote locations across the board that allows for very efficient and very seamless transition or transaction for that product, so they don't have to go across a large square footage of a manufacturing plant to get it and waste a lot of time getting there. But now we know they have the products they need when they need it. That's just one example of an innovation piece. And when I talk about innovation, I want to camp out a little bit on some of our cultural values. So our core cultural values as a company are ambition. First and foremost, ambition and drive. That is something that we strive on our employees having, because if you don't have ambition, it's hard to motivate somebody that doesn't want to be doing a good job and have an internal drive. So a lot of times we're asking questions in an interview. What is it? What's your work ethic look like? Where have you have inspiration on that? Did you have a mentor growing up that helped show you the way and work ethic, or are you somebody that waits to be told to do something? Or we have to pull that out of you, because we can't hire someone who doesn't have a lot of ambition. So that's one of our core values. Along the same lines is integrity, and we got to have integrity, because we give you a lot of responsibility as a Fastenal employee. One of the key reasons why I've been with the company for as long as I have, and I know if you asked any of our employees along the way, it'd be very similar, is we love the decentralized nature of the company and the sense of ownership. And so in an entrepreneur world where everybody likes to come up with their own ideas and implement and have say or control, Fastenal preaches that. And we have a very good understanding that you as an employee feel empowered. In fact, our leadership is from our founder to our current leadership is really adamant about making sure that you challenge your employees, but give them responsibility and empower them to do the job. And it's about ownership. So we want you to run it like you own it, and we don't want you to feel like you're just a number. We want you to take risks, and we want you to work hard, and we want you to be rewarded. We're a commission-based company, so when you're customer service and sales, you're rewarded for the hard work you put in. We're very competitive. We like to compete amongst ourselves, and we have metrics to compare ourselves in the similar roles of how you are doing, because we feel like no better way to measure your success than measure against your peers. And so that's an important component to the culture of our company. Beyond integrity, it's also, I've touched on innovation. So innovation is important because we have to stay up with the times and make sure we're implementing those types of tools to be successful in the company. And then lastly, it's teamwork. We work together as a team in everything we do, from the support levels to your local team that you're working with. Think about, you spend a lot of time at work. You might as well like what you do and who you work with, and develop camaraderie. That camaraderie is instrumental. If you think about athletic teams, so sports teams, football, basketball, the good teams have good chemistry and good camaraderie, fellowship, and we try to do the same thing on the blue team. And part of that is really depend on each other, and understanding that not only in work but outside of work is how you engage with each other and how you care for each other. Because at the end of the day, it's really about thinking about it from a holistic approach, and not just coming in and punching a clock in and out, but caring about your teammates. And so that's important to us. So that's a snapshot of our four cultural values that we put a lot of importance on, and what we look for, quite honestly, in the interview process. So it's not about how much experience you have or how much knowledge you have within the commodities that we sell. We can teach you all those things. In fact, I guess I'll talk about the teaching component to it. Is we are a company that has our own internal training program. We call it the FSB, Fastenal School of Business. So not only are you getting a lot of online resources through that platform, but also virtually led activities. We'll have virtual led trainers from our corporate that will push out concepts of training, or how to develop relationships with customers, or how to do a sales call, or different techniques of how you engage with the customer. To trainings within our internal management folks. So our general managers, our district sales managers, how to mentor their employees. And so mentor is a good word, because I don't want you to think about we're a large company. We're a $5 billion company. So we have a lot of resources. We have 20,000 employees, but we don't want it to be like a big corporation where you lose sight of the mentorship, right? And so we put a lot of importance in training our management to treat their employees like their peers, and treat them like they are part of the process, empowering them. I've mentioned that before, but it's really true. We want to make sure that we give them tools to succeed, and help them keep on the right track, but we don't want to micromanage them. Nobody wants to be micromanaged, and we certainly aren't that type of company where we got our thumb on you, pushing out numbers, and you're just a number to the company. We want to put our arm around each other and find out how can we work together to have a common goal to grow our business and grow sales. So it's kind of the best of both worlds. From a customer's perspective, you think about, you have the advantage of a large company, so you have large resources from inventory, from distribution, from high quality product options to competitive pricing, the volume, all that. But then you also have the best of a local presence, a local feel of a rep that's there for you whenever you need it. So they have the best of both worlds of big company resources, but a small town feel of local service. And that's the best way I can present it in regards to the customer's perspective of who we are. The other commodities I'm thinking about, back to that growth through the company, we reinvest in what works for our company. So the vending machine examples, over 10 years ago, we had very few machines in the field. And now today we have over 100,000 machines. The reason we have so many machines is working, and we're dispensing them out. We have a great program in place above our competition where we have the shelves of the machines and distribution. Customer gives us a list of what they want. We'll put a planogram together, put it on the floor, and we get that thing rolled out and implemented in a very quick turnaround time. So we've got it dialed in because it works. But that's using innovation. It's using our people in the field to be able to help supply those needs to the customer. So thinking about that, that's grown our safety commodity up to 20 plus percent of our business. It used to be a small percentage, as I talked about earlier. As you grow and you reinvest what makes sense, and so the customer tells us what they want, and we reinvest in the needs to support that. That also leads me into a conversation about, traditionally we had branch stores, brick and mortar in those 2,000 plus locations. Well, we have over 1,000 on sites today, and that touches on the supply chain component. Whereas I said our competitive advantage is close to our customer. Well, you can't get any closer than actually being on site, right? So that is a growth driver for us in the company, is that we have customers, if they have the need for us to be on site, then we'll put an area physically at the location, and the Fastenal employee will report to that location and provide customer service directly. Instead of going to one of those local branch locations, they go straight to the customer. We have over 1,000 of those today, and it's a huge win-win for both parties, and we're continue to invest in that growth model as well. So we are going to need more folks that have supply chain concepts, understanding, good customer service skills, folks that can develop relationships, key account management, and all that's important in that process. So that gives you a little overview of kind of where we are today in regards to number of locations, our growth driver going forward, and some of those resources to develop our employees. I think I've touched on the majority of what I wanted to reach out to you on today. I do want to open up for some questions. Before I do that, I will talk about some of the other things that are important for us. One of the big questions I get all the time is, what are we looking for in employees? And to reiterate, ambition, drive, our cultural values. So those cultural values of ambition, teamwork, integrity, and innovations, that's what we look for. But there's some other byproducts of that are similar in nature. So an entrepreneur spirit, folks that are willing to make mistakes, but are also willing to try things to make more efficient business decisions. Somebody that's passionate about what they do, dynamic in nature. I don't need somebody that's all talk. I need somebody that's genuine, and that really comes to the table with a good heart. And customers are pretty perceptive, so they buy from people they like. So you need to make sure you have somebody that's not too arrogant or not too over the top, but you also need somebody that's assertive and aggressive to the point where there's a good balance. So that's really what we're looking for. The other thing I would say would be having the skill set. You hear today, especially in the professional development side, but you have a lot of we'll call it career readiness. That's kind of the buzzword now through NACE standards, is career readiness, but it's really soft skills, transferable skills, rebranded. It's still the same thing. So things like adaptability, right? I can't think of a better word today in the pandemic environment than adaptability. Think about your situation and where you're at. You've had to adapt to online learning, distance learning, how to engage with professors in a virtual world, and understanding that's different. Same thing with us as a company. We've had to adapt to some customers would restrict folks that can come on board. So it's hard to go to their facility when there's restrictions to do inventory management. So we've had to come up with different unique ways to adapt to that. We've had to adapt to, as a recruiter, looking for ways to engage with students. Obviously, I typically travel a lot pre-COVID, but now that we are not traveling at the moment, then we have to do activities like this to virtually engage and still bring value at the same time, but to brand ourselves and to show potential candidates the opportunities there. So that's the overview I want to touch on today. With that, I will open it up for questions, and then as we close, I'll share a couple screenshots just for some follow-ups and ways for you to engage and learn more about our company. With the limited time we have, I would like to share some other things, so I will put that on as a follow-up for you. You can find us on our careers page on our website. You can also look us up on Facebook careers, Fastenal careers page, and then also on LinkedIn. On our careers page, there's a short cultural value video that I think is really good to look at to get a perspective from multiple roles within the company. That gives you a reiteration of kind of what I told you today, but from different lens of different roles. It's a brief 3-minute video. I encourage you to check that out. And then join our Blue Team Career Network. And then you simply put your email in, and that allows you to get pinged of potential job opportunities in your area with your zip code, as well as being informed with newsletters that come along. So those are a few of the highlights there of some of those activities. But with that, I'll open it up. Anybody have any questions of what I discussed or anything in general?
Yeah, Mike, I have for you.
Okay.
Like your discussion about company values, and I kind of want to go back to that, as I think that's obviously really important in any hiring process. What I'm wondering is, you're a big company. Obviously, you have a local feel, but I think a lot of students worry about working at a big company is they're not going to feel seen, or they're not going to feel known. They're just going to be another piece to the puzzle. I wanted to ask, like, what can you say about Fastenal? What can you say about joining the Blue Team that creates an atmosphere of, being known and being seen, and,
Sure.
a fun work environment, I guess, for lack of a better word?
Yep. No, that's a great question. And I've got a lot of examples I'm thinking through my head right now. First and foremost, I would say that local team. So, 2,000 plus locations, we are a big company and 20,000 employees, but each one of those locations, you may have, 4 or 5 employees. So it's not like you have a big cubicle office where you come into and you don't know somebody across the hall from you. You're going to know those 4 or 5 employees very well. And then you rely on each other for that teamwork, and you have short conversations in between your job duties and as you're job shadowing. So that's something I did fail to mention earlier. In addition to our Fastenal School of Business, we are a firm believer in really doing the activity to learn about it. So you as a new employee would come in and job shadow maybe an outside sales rep or account manager and see what they're doing on a day-to-day basis. And so you would help them in the inventory management process, help fill a vending machine or communicate to the customer. But all that being said, when you're with that employee as you're driving between locations to the customer location or there at your store, or maybe you're receiving in a truck and you're communicating back and forth, and you're talking about things you did on the weekend, and you're talking about sports, or you're talking about maybe your classwork and what's going on. Those are times that you grow together and you build that camaraderie that I mentioned. So all that plays into having it doesn't feel like a big company. So that best of both worlds, you feel like you're really engaged, and you feel like you're contributing to the success of the company and that branch location. And that's where that really builds upon. And you can be as creative as you want as a store branch manager. You can do a cookout on the weekends, and you can get together in the summer and do things and have your teammates come together, and all that builds that that cohesive unit, and makes it feel smaller than it is. And then one other thought that comes to mind is that we have annually an employee expo. So in the first week in December every year, we'll invite our employees at different levels at different times of the year. So we may invite outside sales reps one year, maybe new store managers the next year, but in general, we may have 3,000 to 5,000 folks in Orlando, Florida, as part of our employee expo, and it ends up being like a 3-day work and pleasure opportunity. So you'll have like a trade show where you walk and see all our manufacturing tables of all the companies that we represent as a distributor. You'll learn about some of the internal programs, the vending programs, what's the latest and greatest. And then in the evenings, you'll have dinner and you'll have activities. And then, on Saturday, it's free day and you get to do what you want. If you want to go to amusement parks or hang out, play cards, do different activities, but all that's that bonding experience. So you're learning and working together. And we do that every year. So we rotate the different folks that can participate. And so that's where you get the big feel of the large corporation. But back to that first comment, you still have that hometown feel of local presence and local team. And then when you go through some of these trainings, and sometimes you'll meet at one of our distribution centers and go through a training, and you'll meet other folks like yourself, same tenure, pace, same role. And when you do that, you may build a relationship with somebody on the other part of the country. And all of a sudden, as a 25-year employee, I still remember today some of the folks that I had trainings with 20 years ago that they're still in the company and they're in different roles and they're different parts of the country that we still communicate with. And then if we get to meet up in Florida, it's a great kind of reunion that makes it feel smaller than it really is. So long-winded answer to your question, but hopefully that gives you some insight in kind of how that looks.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I had a question, Mike. I was wondering, so if a student participates in the 12-week sales internship that rotates them through lots of the different functions, what would be the next natural progression for them? Like what kinds of career paths would be possible for them?
Sure. So our internship, and I want to clarify, I know a lot of times people's perception of an internship can be different, especially from the higher ed side. For us, we do provide internships, and it is a 12-week program. But we also want to reiterate that we want to onboard folks in that program that have an intentions or motive to stay with us. So we don't want it to be a check the box. I'm here for 3 months, and then I want to have 4 internships throughout my career as a student. We want to retain that person. So we will give you a formal process of what the internship is, but a lot of that's involving the job shadowing. You'll go through some checkpoints where your mentor will make sure you are onboarding properly within that. But we also want to make sure that that experience is something that you can tap into within your existing education so that it aligns with what they're studying. At the same time, you are putting yourself in position for a career opportunity upon graduation. So that leads me to the topic of, we like to hire students while they're still in school. We hire part-time, can work a limited schedule, and very flexible within that. And the reason we are is because we want to build our pipeline of future full-time Fastenal employees from a model that you get your feet wet from a part-time level, and then when you graduate, let's say you've had 2 years experience of Fastenal within a part-time capacity, you graduate, we can plug you into a full-time role, and we better understand where that fit is so we can plug you in the right seat on the bus, as well as when you have that full-time opportunity, you hit the ground running. And so there's not a period where you're kind of like that crash course. I just graduated, now I got a job. How does that look? You're ready to go because you're already confident in the organization, what you do. You've already shadowed somebody that maybe you're in the same role with now as upon graduation. So it works really well in our promote from within philosophy. And I can't stress that enough, is that we really do value that promote from within mentality, because we feel like with our Fastenal School of Business training, with our mentoring locally, that is a much better model than trying to go find an experienced hire per se, somewhere from that we have to maybe has different values than our cultural values from another organizational standpoint, right? So we don't want to have to retrain bad habits, or maybe they come in under the assumption of customer service isn't as important when it is for us. If we have like a blank slate of someone coming in and that has a business acumen and are willing to learn and understand, they fit in that organization, we feel like that intern at that point can be much more successful in our organization, and there's future opportunities for them as well as, it's obviously good for Fastenal. I think you're still on mute there. There you go.
I just do that to amuse people. Thanks for that answer. And I think I think that's a great philosophy. And it also, I think, gives students a lot of reassurance that they're building toward a career that has legs for them, that's something they can continue in.
And I ask the question when I travel around in many classrooms, I'll ask just a kind of a curiosity poll, but I'll say, who in here is currently working today? And I usually get 75% of the hands raised, right? And then I'll ask a follow-up question. That current job you're in, do you see yourself in this job once you graduate? And then I usually get every hand is lowered, and there may be one or two that keep it up. But in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, there's a disconnect here, right? I mean, obviously you have a vested interest to have a job, make some money, maybe for food or tuition or books or lodging, whatever it is. But why not parlay that into a career opportunity? So don't waste your time in that. Why don't you get a job that you have opportunity to still make money and provide what you need, but also upon graduation, you can keep rolling and have a career opportunity. It makes sense. So my question is it because they're not knowledgeable of what that is, so they just took whatever they had to make employment, or it's just an education process to find out where is a good company that could be a fit? And that's part of what today is about, is to find out, give you some information. And if you're not somebody that feels interested in the company, do you know somebody that is, right? So I'm asking for referrals. Find out if I had anything that I said today that resonates with you or you're more interested about, then I've accomplished what I'm here to do, is to provide some assistance and information and value. But once again, it's a power of networking. So if you know somebody else that might be, then you pass that lead on. And that's what we try to do. We try to brand ourselves and show value, not only from a customer's perspective, but also we want to build a pipeline of talent. And that's very important in the whole process.
Well, we're running up against a time deadline soon. So I'd love to see those examples that you were mentioning earlier.
Yep. Is there anybody else have any more questions? I'm going to share my screen real quick here, and I'm going to provide a couple follow-up opportunities. Did my screen switch over? Do you see a slide here?
Yes, looks good.
All right, perfect. So there's one way you can get in touch with us with our Blue Team Career Network. You simply can sign up at careers.fastenal.com, and we also have the LinkedIn and Instagram social media platforms as well. So we post content there that you can see kind of a day in the life of Fastenal and get a little feel for us. I touched on the cultural values earlier, but here's a reiteration of those and a reminder of these are the core values that we look for in our future hires. I touched on the career readiness and adaptability, but there's certainly others that are important attributes of employees, and a lot of times in the interview process, we seek these out through the behavioral-based questions to understand how you react in certain situations and if you would be a good fit to the Blue Team. I'll keep this on here briefly. This is just some statistics within our company. I pretty much touched on the majority of these in regards to the size of our company and some of the statistics of where we are. The internship that we discussed briefly, there is the link there to that. And then the careers.fastenal.com. Here's where you'll sign in. You can select alerts so that you can be pinged when there is a job posting within your a vicinity of your zip code that you choose. And then you also get a notification of different information through a newsletter about once a quarter. The Facebook careers page, here's the information where that's at. So feel free to jump on and like information, follow us, and hopefully it gives you a little bit more insight and research of who we are. The locations I touched on, we're pretty much everywhere. So if you want to graduate and stay in your hometown, certainly there's options there. But if you want to transfer to another location across the country, there's options, and we're also in 25 countries as well, so not just the U.S. And there's some of those locations. But with the sake of time here, I will end with that. Were there any other questions? Here's my contact information. I'm on LinkedIn. If you have another question that I didn't answer, I can send you links to any postings that we may have for further communication. But other than that, that's all the content I had today. Does anybody have any other questions?
If not, thank you so much, Mike. We love the people who work with us in Utah.
That's
Tom,
great.
Matt, and Frank. They're a ton of fun. I love working with them. It's a great company, and you really are everywhere. I was driving around in southern Utah over the long weekend, and there were Fastenals wherever we went. So it's thoroughly in our culture here. And we think the world of your people. So thanks for sharing that with all of our students. I'm sure we'll have many that are interested in the opportunities.
Well, thank you for the opportunity, and I wish you all luck here in the fall semester. I'm sure it's a very anxious time with the unknown and things are going, but take it day by day. And I tell people all the time, don't give excuses why you can't do something, but show how you can do something. Right? Don't use COVID as an excuse. Be innovative, find out ways to make it work, and that's part of that ambition that we're looking for. Right? Folks that have drive and can create. Can have creative ways to think about doing things in a way that we didn't think about before. Sometimes changes come because of necessity, and that's sometimes that's where some of the best ideas come from because you're forced to make those. So I wish you luck, and thanks again for your time.
Thank you.
Yep.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Yep.